Talk Bomb.
Book Club Shmook Club is brought to you by TalkBomb.com. It's a book review show where @Shillin Kristen and her brother @WillRogers2000 talk about books and whatever else they want. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you typically get your podcasts. Welcome to Book Club Shmook Club. I'm Kristen.
I'm William.
I just, for no reason, posted a hideous picture of myself to our Patreon page for patrons only. It is...
And it just says, it's your girl.
It is maybe the... This really might be one of the worst pictures of me.
It's pretty awful.
That I have ever taken.
I've seen worse.
Yeah, I guess so. That is... so bad.
Remember that picture that made you look like you were like in your late 50s?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's amazing.
It's on like an old computer somewhere or something.
We like took it on a laptop.
Yes,
it's
way
10,
old.
15 years ago.
Oh, good. That's saved in my phone too, that picture. It automatically got...
Great. It's good news. Welcome to the show, everybody. In case you needed a little more incentive to back us on Patreon, you'll be getting some exclusive behind-the-scenes photos of the production of Book Club Shmook Club.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Do you know that means that there are, like, people are getting emails right now saying that there's a new post? Just so you know. I'm not saying that to deter you. I'm just making sure that all the facts are clearly stated.
I guess I knew that somewhere, but I didn't think about it.
Incredible.
Oh God.
Incredible.
Oh boy, you guys should really
sign up.
If you don't like us enough to support us on Patreon,
or if you just don't like us.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't like us, then you should still go support us on Patreon, because you can use that picture to blackmail me.
Yeah.
Probably unsuccessful.
Yeah, it's completely unsuccessfully.
Yeah, because I don't care.
You're not going to crumble.
No way. No. But yeah, it's the worst picture of me. Second worst picture of me I ever taken. Patreon.com/talkbomb.
Pretty incredible.
We did it, or I did it randomly right before we started recording, like as the music was playing. I don't know what got into me, so that's why we're talking about it.
All the beans.
Yep. Okay, anyway, so we are here to talk about Psycho House, which is, I'm going to say, ostensibly written by Robert Bloch.
Oh, really? You think not?
I saw some speculation online.
Really? Yes. I did not know about this.
So here's an interesting thing about, well, it's only interesting in as far as my experience of it. So this has happened at least once on the show before, maybe twice, where I did not like a book and just could not absorb it for some reason.
Yeah.
And I felt that way about this book. I would be hard pressed to explain to somebody else what happened. And it's such a weird, like, niche sort of book. It was on Goodreads that people were saying it.
Oh, you know what? I saw something like that. It was someone in a review being like,
yeah.
Supposedly,
there were a few people who said that, though.
Yeah, but it was pessimism. It wasn't like based on
any. It's so terrible that I was like, well, maybe.
It's not a good book.
It's horrible. And so I was like, all right, well, at least I can lean on Wikipedia or somewhere online for a plot summary to clarify what this book is about for myself. And no, because it is such like a weird, there's probably only like, I don't know, maybe there's only one printing of it or something. It doesn't seem like there are many editions of the book out there, and not many people have read it. So there's
no one's talking about it.
No, so there's not a lot about it online.
It's true. I
found it so confusing. I felt like there were like a million guy characters.
Yes, there absolutely were. There are too many characters in this book. But one of the things that I will say before we really get into it is that I am proud that Book Club Shmook Club will be the highest profile venue to ever find any information about Psycho House.
That's saying nothing because no other venue.
That's well, does that
proud.
Diminish?
No.
Does that mean that what I said is not true? No one's talking about this book. No one cares about it. It seems like the world forgot about it. Robert Bloch, I guess he wrote it, and the universe shrugged it off.
Yeah.
No one cared. And so as a result, I tried to go online and find somebody's sort of like brief pithy summary of what exactly is going on.
Yeah.
But it doesn't exist.
No, it's insane.
So you and I are going to basically write the story on what Psycho House is. So before we jump into it, I think it's clear what our spoiler-free recommendations are.
It stinks.
But I just want to read the spoiler-free plot synopsis in case there is a one person out there who is curious and is planning to go off on their lonesome and read this and come back.
More like a plot-free plot synopsis.
Chris!
Well...
Chris! 10 years ago, Norman Bates' death... What?
What?
I apologize.
Oh, there you go.
10 years after Norman Bates' death, a local entrepreneur has rebuilt the Bates Motel in Fairvale as a tourist attraction. Amy Haynes travels to the infamous Psycho House to write a book about Bates when mysterious murders begin to occur. Haynes faces resistance from the community when she enlists the help of a group to investigate the murders. Now, I take it you do not recommend this book.
No, it stinks. And there's a quote from Stephen King on the cover,
of course
obviously.
Of course there is.
It's vague enough that it could have been him referring to Psycho, because it says, like, perhaps America's finest horror author or something like that.
Well, that's him, like, being kind about Robert Bloch, not saying anything about the book. Right. He does, I was very confused, because on the back of my copy of Psycho House that I got a used copy from a library. Mm-hmm. There's another Stephen King quote. I was very confused. I jumped right to it.
Yeah.
Laurie was made for suspense addicts like myself, who like to take their poison straight. I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? It's an ad for an entirely different book on the back of this one.
That doesn't seem to bode well for the current book.
No, they don't. The back of my copy of the book pretends that I'm just looking at an advertisement for a different story.
That's weird.
There's nothing to say about Psycho House. That even by the publishers of Psycho House.
Yeah, I barely have anything to say about it.
Let me say two things before we jump into spoiler territory.
Nobody gives one fart about spoilers for this book, I guarantee you. Well, just saying.
Tradition is tradition.
Okay.
Kristen, how dare you?
Okay.
I wanna just get two things kind of on the record. Mm-hmm. Now, this book, Psycho House, was written in 1990.
Yeah.
All right? Mm-hmm. So Robert Bloch made it to the goddamn 90s with Psycho.
Know.
The original Psycho was written in 1959.
I know.
Okay?
I was actually surprised by that.
31 years had passed. Mm-hmm. Okay? He would die 4 years later at the age of 77. This book, Psycho House, is written by a 73-year-old man.
Yeah.
30 years after the original book.
Mm-hmm.
With that context, it doesn't mean that we should be like, you know what? Then that means it's pretty good. That's not what I'm saying.
73 is not old enough to be like, good for him.
Well, there's a lot of old manism in this book, I noticed. There's a character right at the beginning. He's a desk clerk and he reads comic books. Uh-huh. And the reaction he gets from the main character, Amy, is really like, she ends up going to her hotel room, and then there's some line about how she has to like bite her tongue and like sit on her hands to stop herself from calling the front desk and asking if he's like done reading his like high art intellectual stories.
Yeah.
Like just like an old man just being like, comic books ain't literature. They're crap that melts the brain.
Oh, he also says that Amy gets out a fresh nightie, and I was like, never in my life.
Yeah.
It also kind of made me want a fresh nightie. Like the word fresh made it sound kind of nice.
Well, in the 90s.
It's cool. Like temperature wise.
There are
like
90s nice, cool in the 90s for anyone that was not like a mom already.
Wait, say it again. What's the question?
Did people wear nighties in the 90s?
Yeah, maybe.
It sounds like a fucking radio station.
90s like, in the 90s.
Or just like a segment on a station, I guess. Like it's like, whoa, look at that. The sun's gone down. You know what that means? It's time for the 90s and the 90s. Ooh.
But nobody calls it the 90s when you're in it. You know what I mean? It's not like we're like, all right, the 2000 teenies.
Oh, we should.
There should be a 2000 teenie, like Martini.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. 17-y? A 2017?
Yeah, 2017.
That has to be a thing on like New Year's Eve.
You think so?
Yeah, like a 2016-y.
Hey, when it turned 2017, did people wear those stupid glasses where one of the O's is a lens, and then I guess what?
Your eyes just peeking out through the
7,
the angle of the 7. Like,
I guarantee that those glasses were made, but
I think they were.
I wonder how hard they had to fudge it.
Yeah, that's gotta be tough sometimes.
Yeah, probably.
I'm trying to think of another hard
They'll be
one.
fine for 2018.
2 is hard. That's really the only one. 2 and 7.
2 and 7, but it's 2, 0, 1, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can work.
Well, I was thinking about like 2012.
They're sitting pretty.
Oh wait,
for the next like 4 years, because they can do 2018 pretty well. They can do 2019.
Yeah, there's a hole in both of those.
And then 2020, and people are going to say
fun.
People are going to say they've got 2020 vision,
and they're also going to say 2020.
Oh, they're going to say a lot of that. The year 2020 is going to be infuriating. So people are going to say 2020.
Oh, it's
and they're going to talk about having 2020 vision when they wear those glasses. Mm-hmm. And then I also bet that there will still be at some point articles online about how like this is the day that Marty travels to the future and Back to the Future Part 2.
No, that hasn't happened in a little while.
I saw one fairly recently.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I haven't seen that in a while.
That will never die.
I don't know. I think it will.
Hopefully someday I will. All right. So Psycho House.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to say of the two things. One is that this is written by an old man who he wasn't, he was on his way out, right? He had a few years left in him. The other is that once
how did
again,
he die?
I mean, that I don't know.
Because maybe he was perfectly like with it and all good, and then he got hit by a bus or something.
Maybe. I mean, that's definitely not impossible.
Because when did he die? He was 75, you said?
Oh,
that's like kind of young.
Died of cancer at the age of 77.
Yeah, so it's not like he probably wasn't like, well, I guess it depends on the kind of cancer. I was about to say, it's not like he was like losing his marbles.
No. And that's not at all what I mean to say. What I mean to say is that he was revisiting something that was obviously outside of anyone's control, iconic and huge.
Yeah.
And doing it very late.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, Psycho 2, which we've talked about. We've done Psycho 1 and 2 before. Everybody can go find it in the archives of our episodes.
Yeah.
But Psycho 2 was written in 1982. So 23 years later, and that was a long time. I felt like that was a long time. It's weird still to be like, all right, 8 years later, here's a third one. They kind of feel like cash-ins, except, like Psycho 2, I think that this is an attempt to sort of digest what had been happening to his franchise, his work.
How so?
Well, not only did this book come out in 1990, but the fact that it came out in 1990 means that by the time it was on store shelves, we had already had Psycho, Psycho 2, I'm talking about movies now, and Psycho 3, and Psycho 4, the beginning, was hitting TV around that same time. There had already been a spin-off TV film called Bates Motel. It was, I think, abundantly clear at this point that this story, Norman Bates and Mother, was just going to keep, like, regenerating itself. People were just going to keep making it. And Psycho 2 was ostensibly about, as it was sold, Norman Bates goes to Hollywood to stop a movie being made of him. That sounds like
stink.
They do stink. That sounds like grounds for satire.
Oh yeah, that'd be campy.
Now this one, I'm gonna argue, is doing the exact same thing to the exact same
effect. But for
effect.
like 5 minutes, it's doing the same thing.
But I felt like the first one did it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or I mean, Psycho 2, I felt like did it for.
I know what you meant. Yeah.
He was in Hollywood. He was talking to writers.
Yeah.
But they never played with the actual idea of like, what does it mean for this to be gaining its own life outside of you? And this book, I think, really tries to pick up that ball.
Yeah.
Let's talk about other people doing this thing for us, and how do I feel about it when you're doing my thing? But I think it drops the ball in exactly the same ways as Psycho 2, and maybe even a little worse.
Yeah, because it's only here and there that it does that. And it's not really quite the same, because they're not, the people who are capitalizing on the murder of Mrs. Bates and everything aren't stealing it from Norman because he's dead. You know what I mean? They're just capitalizing on it as a thing that happened, not kind of co-opting. Well, I guess they kind of are.
Well, they're definitely co-opting it, but there's no one to steal it from anymore because no one's around from the original Psycho.
Right.
Except that Robert Bloch creates this obnoxious mechanism wherein there are multiple people in the story who feel like they have a personal stake in the Norman Bates story, and it's really fucking irritating. So let's go spoilery.
It just doesn't work for me. Remind me of who thinks they have a stake besides the doctor guy.
Let me.
Go spoil it.
I'll tell it to you in my spoiler.
Tell it to me straight, Doc.
Filled plot synopsis.
Okay.
And this is the way that I
wouldn't hurt a fly.
This is the way that I recall it.
Do I kind of look like Norman Bates right now? Does he have a blanket on him at the end of? Does he?
So that's the only thing you need to like your Norman Bates cosplay is just putting a blanket on you. Do I kind of look like Norman Bates right now?
Well, but for real,
I'm under a blanket.
Does he have a blanket on him at the end?
Maybe. I don't know.
It's an unusual. I'm not usually sitting here covered in it's actually my humongous scarf, but I'm using it as a blanket.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no answer for you. Although I should also say that for the purposes of this show, I watched Psycho 3, which I had never seen before. I watched the TV movie Bates Motel, which was in the late 80s, 1987, starring Bud Cort as... Wait,
who's Bud Cort?
He's a name that you would know, but not necessarily for any real reason. I don't think. He doesn't play Norman Bates because Norman Bates is not in it.
Is that Lori Petty?
Yes, it is Lori Petty, and she wears a giant chicken suit in the show, and it really irritated me.
What? Why?
His name is Alex West.
Okay, can you click on his name so I know who he is?
Yeah. Bud Cort.
Okay. That's a face I've seen before.
Dressed like a magician.
Oh, he's
in Harold and Maude.
Yeah.
So he plays Alex West, a kid that was institutionalized and befriended Norman Bates in the sanitarium. Norman Bates pretty much acted like as a mentor figure to him before he died.
Seems like a bad idea.
And then Norman Bates leaves the Bates Motel to Alex West in his will. Alex West gets released from the sanitarium and moves to Fairvale to do justice by his best friend Norman, who he has in an urn. He has his ashes in an urn. An old man.
Was this good? It sounds sweet.
It was horrible.
Okay.
It was schmaltzy in the extreme.
Yeah.
There are like a million scenes in it. It's an hour and a half. There are a million scenes of it where Bud Cort just goes like, well, I guess we're really doing it, Norman. I'm going to make your dreams come true. And like,
so it's boring.
Like really sympathetic, like hopefully kind of music pipes in. And I'm just like, why am I supposed to feel like this guy who was in like a madhouse?
Yeah, do you know
and his serial killer friend who's dead.
Yeah, I mean, well, so was Alex West a bad guy? Like,
no.
What did he was just mentally ill?
Yes, and you're supposed to think that he's like very sweet. But Bud Cort just has like a really off look about him that makes him really uncomfortable, especially when he acts like really meek and childlike. It's really fucking uncomfortable.
I don't love a grown up acting childlike.
It was terrible. It was like the dark side of Pee-wee.
I don't find it whimsical. Yeah.
And he meets two old homeless men who are like, take a swig of this, and hand him a flask, and he takes a nip. And he hands the urn to one of the old men to hold her for a second.
Mind you, take a nip of that?
It looks like an urn. It does not look like anything other than a giant urn.
What the fuck happens?
One of the old men goes like, hey, you've been holding out on us, and starts to try to drink Norman Bates' ashes. And Bud Cort, in this like really embarrassing bit of physical comedy, is like, Norman, and like grabs it out of the old man's arms and like looks genuinely upset and runs away. So I was like totally thrown if I should be laughing or not.
What is the tone of this? Yeah, that's
all over the map. He reopens the Bates Motel. I'm going to get real quick with this.
Yeah.
This part is like, we could dwell on this for a whole show because it's batshit.
Well, I feel like this is what I'm imagining for our episode today. This is just, I figured we'd talk a little bit just more about, different iterations of the Norman Bates story, not necessarily just going to Psycho House.
I don't know that Psycho House can sustain a show.
That's what I'm saying. I watched Bates Motel, as did you.
Yeah. Well, you watched the new Bates Motel.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Like the show Bates Motel.
Right.
Yeah.
So Alex West opens the Bates Motel. He becomes friends with Lori Petty, who's been squatting in it. She works as a chicken mascot for like a local, fast food restaurant.
Okay.
She is so annoying.
I mean, she's annoying.
And she's his like kind of streetwise friend.
Yeah.
She's going to watch his back.
I like her. I just remembered she's annoying, but I do also like her.
I'm going to say something real mean.
I always like it when she's in Orange is the New Black. But I haven't seen that a couple seasons.
Really mean.
Okay.
Growing up when we watched League of Their Own all the time, I was fascinated by her because I simultaneously thought she was really pretty, and there was something about her that I found like stomach turning.
I can kind of see that. Tank Girl makes me want to throw up.
She looks ill.
Yeah, there's something weird.
There's something about her that looks unwell to me, and so it, for some reason, grosses me out that she has as much energy as she does while being
That's
sick.
really funny.
You know what I mean? It's real weird.
That's really funny.
Sorry, Lori Petty. I've felt this way for nigh 30 years. Anyway.
She's doing fine. She's on Orange is the New Black. I assume still. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. So
people love it. Have you ever watched that before?
No.
Yeah.
So Norman Bates opens the motel. They start to get guests. There's a woman who tries to commit suicide in the bathtub. And then a young girl.
Is it the bathtub?
I think it might be.
You know.
Oh, you know what? It's not. It's like cabin 4. So I don't know why. Okay. Which is just weird. Why pick a random cabin?
Just a bad day.
Use the cabin.
Yeah.
Actually, when Alex West first goes to the Bates Motel to like set it back up, he stays in cabin 1 and takes a shower in there. And I was like,
on purpose? Because he like wants to.
I don't know. Like I was torn. Like they almost never mention what Norman Bates did.
Huh.
Which is really, and everything about Norman Bates is treated like very sentimental. Very like Alex West loves him.
Weird.
It's like his dad.
Yeah.
Very confusing. And then, so here's this. A teenage girl interrupts the woman while she's trying to commit suicide and says like she can't tell that she was about to commit suicide. She's just like in the tub and the door was open. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
You should be careful. There's like a whole like party going on over here and a lot of the guys are drinking. You don't want to have your door unlocked. She was like, actually, what are you up to? You should come. You should come to the party. Like,
with the dangerous guys who might wander in and assault you or something with the door unlocked? Yeah, I would love to hang out with them.
She goes to the party and meets a young Jason Bateman.
Okay.
He looks like he's like 17.
Teen Wolf?
They start dancing and they kind of fall in love real quick.
Okay.
And she's like, no, this is wrong. You're a boy. I'm a grown woman. And then...
Wait, is this Lori Petty?
No, this is just some woman.
Okay, yeah.
Now the story's all about her, by the way. It's got like nothing to do with Alex West.
Some woman?
He's literally in the background of scenes refilling punch bowls.
So do you think that they thought it was like, it's like one of those twists, the same way that we killed off the main character in the first one? The main character isn't who you thought it was going to be in this.
I'll tell you what, I think they had a pilot episode for a story about a creepy hotel and realized that no one gave a fuck. So they farted out some story about the Bates Motel, but realized they couldn't get anybody who looked even a little bit like Norman Bates. So they hired Bud Cort's weird face to do it instead. Sorry to Lori Petty and Bud Cort. I apologize.
It's a very offensive episode to Lori Petty and Bud Cort.
Trigger warning for this episode. If you're Lori Petty or Bud Cort, don't listen. So she falls in love with Jason Bateman, but realizes it's wrong, so she runs away. Then it turns out the girl that walked in on her when she was committing suicide
was Bud Cort
is a ghost.
Oh.
And that she committed suicide when she was a kid.
Oh.
She's come back to stop you. And she goes, actually...
Is she the grown-up version of herself as a kid? Like she's aged in the afterlife?
Someone online wrote that it's a version of her from another universe who killed herself. And I take issue with that because that is so perplexing. Where it's like, oh, an alt-universe version of me who's young killed herself and I'm being visited by a ghost from another universe me?
That's a lot.
I don't believe it. I think it's a different young girl.
Yeah.
But she goes like, actually, there are a lot of us here. And she opens the front windows of cabin 4 and everyone from the party is sitting facing inside her room. And they go around the room and he's like, name's Travis Dunkley. I took my own life when I was 15. I was born in 1942. Like, whatever.
Wait, was Jason Bateman a ghost?
Yes. What? They pan over to Jason Bateman. He's like, hi, I'm Jason Bateman. You might know me.
He wasn't. Get it?
I killed myself. But really, he didn't. And yeah, she fell in love with her ghost. And then the next day, she's like checking out of the Bates Motel. And Alex is like, I hope you had a good night. I hope that you really enjoyed your stay.
God.
You're one of my first guests here at the hotel. And well, I'm really just hoping I do a good job.
Sounds horrible.
It was miserable. And she goes, you know what? I think I'd like to come back and stay sometime.
What? Why would she want to do?
And looks up at the terrifying house where people have been murdered, and she just met a shitload of ghosts.
Were the ghosts murdered?
No, they all killed themselves.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't understand. What's scary about? I guess it's just a ghost story.
They're ghosts.
It's not a murder story like
no
Psycho. It's just a ghost story.
Exactly, which is why I think that they just like kind of crapped the Bates Motel name on it. And then the show ends.
Well, but does it look like the Bates Motel? So they must have.
Well, yeah, but I think they shot it there because they had these sets already built because they just kept making movies. And I think that they had this idea for a schmaltzy sort of like a little bit of Twilight Zone, but kind of romantic. And realized like, oh, you know what? We already made shows out of like Freddy Krueger. We made TV shows out of Friday the 13th. And they're all like spin-offs in the extreme.
They made shows out of Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
Oh.
And it was like every week there's a different artifact, a haunted artifact, and we tell a story about it. It had nothing to do with Jason Voorhees. It's like, okay, that's this.
Yeah.
That's that for Norman Bates. The episode ends because it's a pilot episode. It's an hour and a half long, which makes it like it's a movie, like a TV movie.
Right.
It's a pilot episode for what they wanted to do as a show.
You know that?
Yes.
That's
They
so
stopped
weird.
it there. It ends with Bud Cort going like, maybe you should come stay at the Bates Motel. You never know what you'll find
Oh, God.
or what's waiting for you. Good night.
Well, this book
He's
ends with
talking to us, like talking to the camera. The woman is driven off.
Yeah.
He's standing in front of the motel with his fucking hands in his pockets, all meek.
Yeah.
And the camera pans up and away and kind of like floats away like a fucking ghost. I don't know. It was
Sounds horrible.
It was awful.
Or besides that part of talking straight to the camera, it sounds like an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark that would be sweet.
Yes. I kept thinking about that one episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark where the guy is being haunted by a beautiful girl who's in love with him.
Yeah.
And he's terrified, and he keeps telling her to like leave him alone, leave me the fuck alone. And then one day
Is she like a girl from the 50s?
Yes.
Or am I mushing them together?
She's
okay.
a girl from the 50s. And one night he like picks up a ring and puts it on his finger, and he can't get it off anymore. And they find old pictures of her.
Tell me about it.
Oh, this ball and chain on my finger. They find like a picture of her from the 50s when she died, and she's got that ring.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my gosh.
Well, it's probably because it's so small.
It's like marking me as hers or something. And she calls him on the phone. And he's like, the last time I told you to leave me alone. I don't want to see you anymore. And she goes, okay, I understand.
The ring falls off.
I won't bother you anymore. Hangs up. The ring falls off his finger.
Boom.
And then the reveal comes. He's dead too.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He was her boyfriend. They were in a car accident and they died. They were hit by a train. Their car stalled on the tracks. And he's not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be with her.
Yeah.
And who he thinks his sister to be is a girl that he's actually haunting, but she likes him.
Yeah.
She likes him a lot, and she has made up this lie to him that he's her brother. And their parents just don't understand him. They just don't talk to him. It's very Sixth Sense-y, where it's like every time he talks to his parents, they're like walking away. He's like, I didn't mean to make you mad. I'm sorry. He just like doesn't comprehend it correctly.
Yeah.
And so when the reveal comes, he's like absolutely blown away. And they go to the graveyard, and the girl is there. And he starts to walk away from his sister. And it's so, the way I remember it, it is so genuinely upsetting.
Yeah.
And
that's
like
probably
very
why it sticks in both of our minds.
Heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Like so well done that it should not have been on Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Are You Afraid of the Dark was pretty sweet sometimes.
It was sweet.
Yeah.
But I think
like
it was
sometimes good sweet.
It was so much better than anything that show ever did. I feel like that was like
probably
the technically best episode. Maybe not the most fun because it's kind of upsetting, but I think it was the best one they ever did.
Yeah. Real quick note about The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a really long time. Haley Joel Osment is alive, right? It's not that he sees dead people because he's a dead person or something?
Correct.
Okay. Bruce Willis is dead.
Maybe we should rewatch this movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in...
Might be fun to watch it with somebody who evidently has forgotten one of the most famous fucking twists.
Well, I know he sees dead people, so he must be alive because he's not saying, I am a dead person who sees dead people. Okay.
Well, but that's not necessarily true either. The dead people still see each other as well.
True. Yeah. Okay.
We should just rewatch that movie. That's a great movie.
I know. I would like to rewatch it. I haven't seen that in forever.
Wish that was based on a book.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so just Bruce Willis is dead. Yeah. And
okay.
Donnie Wahlberg is in the beginning.
Why don't we take a
more and more is coming back to me.
I can't believe that's Donnie Wahlberg. I lost a bet because I swore up and down.
I remember.
The weird underwear boy in the beginning is not Donnie Wahlberg.
Yep.
it is only Donnie Wahlberg.
That's all Donnie Wahlberg.
All right, why don't we take a quick break and we'll finally briefly talk about Psycho House by Robert Bloch.
I got a solid 8 minutes in me about this, maybe.
Let's see.
Okay. Pardon the interruption. Book Club Shmook Club has no sponsors, so instead we rely on our listeners and patrons. If you enjoy the show, please consider going to patreon.com/talkbomb to help us cover our hosting fees and book fees, and to get dozens of Patreon-exclusive shows as a thank you. Please also consider leaving us a review on iTunes or Stitcher to brighten our day and maintain our show's reputation. If you like Book Club Shmook Club, the best thing you can do for us is to share the show with a friend. If you like this podcast, there's a good chance your friends will too. No matter what, we just hope you enjoy the show, though, so let's get back into it.
Okay, so Psycho House.
Tell me what it's about.
I'm going to give you the plot synopsis the best way that I remember it.
Okay.
All right? Now, I'm not saying that this is 100% what happens.
The best of your ability.
Names, I can tell you, are going to be a tricky issue.
Well, it's annoying that the main character's name is, they call her Amy and Amelia. Which, Amy is short for Amelia, I guess, in this case. But they're different enough names that I got confused sometimes.
Right. Okay.
Because her, official, reporter writer name is Amelia, on her bylines or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but whatever.
Yeah.
So, Norman Bates was dead to begin with. Off to a good start. So Norman was locked up in the sanitarium. The Bates Motel burned down entirely. All right. Now, just a brief bit of background. In Psycho 2, Norman Bates was killed by a hitchhiker, and all the murders that we thought were being perpetrated by Norman Bates were obviously not. Instead, they were being done by the main character, Adam Claiborne. Norman Bates's...
I was going to say Chisholm.
No,
that's not his name.
Huh?
I thought his last name was Chisholm. I was like, Dr. Chisholm.
Nate Chisholm.
Yeah.
Adam Claiborne believed that he was Norman, much like Norman believed that he was Mother. Now, at the end of that book, Adam Claiborne gets locked up. As we start Psycho House, we are inside the Bates Motel. How is that possible? It was burned down. Well, here's how it's possible.
Gone. It burned.
You made that same joke in Psycho 2. I listened back to our old shows as well. There are wax statues of Norman Bates' mother and Mary Crane in the Bates Motel, which has been turned into a haunted house, a horror attraction.
Yeah.
Very, very, I would say Disneyland, but no, very Universal haunted horror nights or whatever. Two girls are creeping around in the house just for fun because it's weird and cool. One of them ends up murdered. They see that when they were trying to find the quote unquote corpse of Mother in the fruit cellar of the mansion, it's missing.
Yeah.
Someone took it. And then one of the girls, Terry, is killed. That leads Amy Haynes, a writer, to come to Fairvale in an attempt to cover the story that's developing there.
Yeah.
Sort of the fascination of the town about Norman Bates. Why are they building this horror attraction? And wow, a real life murder has occurred there. What is going on?
Yeah.
In the course of her investigation, I'll call it, she meets Dick Reno, who is an officer of the law. And he sort of helps her. He's kind of flirtatious with her, and he's investigating the crime while she is investigating the story of the crime.
Yeah.
She meets Otto Remsbach, who is the...
I'm surprised you remember all these names.
I did some flipping through earlier tonight.
Okay.
I would not have otherwise.
Yeah.
She meets Otto Remsbach, the guy who is opening the Bates Motel attraction. He's got a number of sort of shady deals with other people in town to fund the entire thing. He thinks it's going to be a cash cow.
Oh, yeah.
She meets Hank Gibbs, a local reporter who is working on the story. She's working on it for a book, basically.
I just thought of a good name of a character in here. It's not. Bart Fletchley. Isn't that a good name?
That is a great name. Bart Fletchley.
Go ahead.
Fetch Fletchley. And Hank Gibbs is working on this story for his own local paper, whereas she's trying to write the book. So they end up having like a pretty interesting back and forth because they're both investigating the same thing for pretty much the same reason.
Yes, cleared up who Hank Gibbs was for me, so thank you.
You got it.
Couldn't remember.
Nothing happens in this book at all. The most exciting thing that happens...
There's a lot of names thrown around back and forth.
Names everywhere, meeting a million different people in town. There are a bunch of other people that are in the book that I'm not going to mention because I forgot who they are, I forgot what they do, I forgot their names.
They're probably inconsequential.
And they're totally inconsequential.
She puts on makeup like a million times.
Yes. She does, however, have another guy who's kind of sort of followed her from her hometown to Fairvale, named something like Duncan Hines. What is his name? Stupid name.
I don't
There's an idiot. There's an idiot with a dumb name in this book who's a demonologist.
Oh, it's like something with an
Dunstable.
H. Yeah, Dunstable. It's like not even a word or a last name. Dunstable.
It's like Eric Dunstable. And it fucking bothered me because the second I first heard his name, I was like, is he the constable?
Same.
It's like Dunstable the constable.
It's just
It's just slop. A big pile of slop.
It's really bad. And even that, I was like, well, maybe this will be kind of fun. No, he just pops up every once in a while and is like, well, he could have been possessed or something. It's like, we should perform an exorcism, and then doesn't.
And people are like, but he's a satanic asshole. And no one fucking knows him or ever really talks to him.
So boring.
He could have been interesting. He was a fucking demonologist.
Yeah.
And it's so uninteresting. I was
okay,
shocked.
so finish with the plots and then we'll talk about, all the things we hated.
So Eric Dunstable has
Is his first name really Eric?
I think it is.
Yeah.
He has a fartastic theory. To explain this, I need to explain what became of our old friend Adam Claiborne from Psycho 2. Adam Claiborne, who believed he was Norman Bates, has been in the care of Dr. Steiner.
Only cool part.
These past 8 years. Dr. Steiner, we may remember as Norman Bates's psychologist from the end of Psycho 1 and Psycho 2. He is literally the man who shows up at the end of all three of these books to explain for a few pages, no, now here's what happened. His psychology allowed it to
and thank
splinter
God.
and schism.
When they started to do that, I was like, oh, good, I'll understand what happened. And I was like, no, I won't.
How old is he?
Dr. Steiner, like 100.
He's got to be 100 fucking years old in this book.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway, he goes to visit Adam Claiborne because he feels like because Amy Haynes wants to interview Adam Claiborne, he needs to set up what's going on. Adam Claiborne is unwell. He's mentally ill and he's locked up, and so he needs to get some context for what's going on.
Yeah, he's gone crackers.
So Steiner tells him about Amy Haynes coming to interview him. He tells him that the Bates Motel has had another murder. But that's not possible. How could that be possible? Dr. Adam Claiborne says that the Bates Motel burned down years ago.
I was like, oh boy, this isn't great.
So he reveals that it's being rebuilt as a horror attraction. And Adam Claiborne...
Yeah. Dr. Claiborne's going to like that.
Oh yeah, let's see how this one goes. Adam Claiborne snaps. Dr. Steiner's internal monologue tells us that he watches Adam Claiborne's features literally transform until they resemble... But no, that's impossible. And Adam Claiborne lunges forward and wraps his meaty hands around Dr. Steiner's neck.
I mean, it would work for the exorcism thing. You know what I mean? Because in The Exorcist, her features distort.
Funny you should say that.
Nothing about this is funny.
We just read William Peter Blatty's Legion, wherein somebody who is locked up behind bars.
Yeah, why are we reading so many stinky books?
And who is possessed by the ghost of the previous book's main character is supposedly committing murders from behind bars. How's that possible? That's happening again in this.
What does that sound like?
Yeah. So...
what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Basically, Dunstable, I want to find out. I want to look it up. Dunstable has a theory that Norman Bates lives on.
Yeah.
That Norman Bates, when he died, his spirit, or perhaps the demon that was attached to Norman, because it maybe isn't just Norman, maybe it's that there was a demon then, too.
I hate that shit.
Maybe that spirit was in Adam Claiborne, and it has left him now, because Adam Claiborne had a heart attack and then later died.
Yeah.
That spirit is now loose, floating, and it's in Fairvale. And because there are murders happening in town, that same spirit, maybe it's latched onto somebody else who's committing those murders.
Yeah.
Now, that is the one notion that I was, with a big asterisk, excited about. I went into this book like a damn fool because I went in the same way that I did for Psycho 2, where I was like, you know what? This sounds so big and over the top.
I was open-minded because it did sound so ridiculous.
Be like schlocky,
yeah, totally,
and zany horror nonsense.
There are so many aspects of this that could go that way. Okay, so finish up and say who the killer was, and then we'll go all in.
So essentially, there's much ado about nothing forever,
right?
Until at the very end, Amy Haynes finally agrees with what everyone else is saying. Eric Dunstable, the demonologist, probably is the killer.
Mm-hmm.
He intends to burn down the Bates Motel. He thinks doing that will cleanse the spirits, which, by the way, it's not the same fucking hotel. They rebuilt it.
Yeah, dodo.
Annoying.
Yeah.
And so she's rushing there. She and Hank Gibbs, basically, the other reporter, are kind of racing each other to see who gets there first. And whoever gets there first will wait for the other. But we're going to run in. We're going to stop Dunstable. Mm-hmm. She gets there, and Hank Gibbs' car is already there. His door is ajar. He must have run in. Something must have happened. She runs inside, and it's dark in there. She's tripping over shit. Whoa, ding, ding, ding. She hits the bell on the counter, which is actually the trigger for the statue of Norman Bates to turn and greet her with his waxy smile.
Which is kind of sweet.
And then a knife flies past her head and embeds itself in the wall.
Know what that sound effect was at first.
She hears a gunshot. She turns to see Dick Reno, the cop. But don't worry, he's a friend. He just shot the bad boy. Hank Gibbs, the local Fairvale reporter, was the murderer. Mm-hmm. It was his plan. He was in cahoots with Otto Remsbach, the man who was opening the haunted attraction, who had other friends that had also helped him to fund it.
And they
were colluding. And there was a big conspiracy, and they were going to all make money somehow. And somehow, if everyone else died, this guy who was never... we didn't know.
Boring.
He had it. And
William's falling asleep as he says this.
Was going to be rich.
I think Will's dying.
Remember me! I don't understand why Hank Gibbs would have gotten rich off the Bates Motel.
Me neither.
Something about having a business deal. But you can't just shit that into my lap and have me go like, oh, it makes so much sense. Otto Remsbach had tons of dirty deals. That Otto Remsbach, that memorable character.
It's kind of a memorable name, I guess.
So Amy Hines leaves. She writes her book. Dr. Steiner explains how essentially... Norman does live on. The spirit does live on. Not literally as a demon, but no, rather the memory. The chaos he creates perpetuates itself. It lingers. Oh, Albert. You've come back to me. Yeah. We'll be right back after this brief interruption.
Oh, my God.
There we go. Oh, God. And we're back. Sorry, there's a mystery man who I've never met before who wears a big old cowboy hat who commented on my Facebook page because he told me that I should respect the president. I did.
And a notification popped up on our sound monitoring screen that said that he had responded to Will's comment or something.
Duty called. But I'm back now.
It was worth it.
So basically, though, that is Psycho House. Dr. Steiner says that Norman Bates's story lives on.
Well, also, the way that it ends is, God, I'm paraphrasing. I should have written it down or something, but I was so bored. He's like, do let me know how it goes in the asylum. And she's like, oh, I'm not going back there. And he's like, no, I mean out there. And gestures out the window. Oh, yeah, duh. You have the book.
I totally fucking forgot. He says, the demons that possessed Hank Gibbs and continue to possess so many others. Greed, avarice, the real demons that are taking over this world. I won't forget. Amy rose, smiling. Let me make a suggestion, Dr. Steiner said. When you're finished, maybe you can write another book about life in the asylum. Here? No. Steiner gestured toward the window. Out there.
God. Groan.
The world is but an asylum. Patient count is growing by the day. Doctor's orders.
What? Is the patient count growing because it's the doctor's orders?
Doctor's orders.
Yeah, this sucked.
That's humiliating.
So here are things that could have been really over the top, campy, and fun to read, even if it was a good bad kind of situation, possibly. Okay, Dr. Claiborne being in it and thinking that he's Norman Bates.
100%.
The same way that Norman Bates thought he was his mother.
Yes.
That could have been kind of fun. But he's in it for like 2 seconds, basically. Right. The whole amusement park house kind of thing could have been fun, and it just barely even came up.
It doesn't even open.
No.
It's not even open until the end, and we never like see anything.
Barely. What else? Maybe that's it.
I get that pretty much is it.
The only good part that I was like kind of interested in was when it was Claiborne and Dr. Steiner talking. And then Claiborne strangled him. I was like, okay, maybe something interesting will be going on here.
I liked in much the same way that I liked it in the book Legion. I thought it was cool that that Adam Claiborne's facial features were obviously distorting until he looked like Norman.
Yeah.
That felt like, why else would that be?
You know what? But it felt out of place, kind of. Well, I guess they went so far away from the first Psycho, but
yeah.
I don't know. I guess I still was thinking about the vibe of the first Psycho, which is, somewhat not realistic, but like in the world of physically feasible things.
No, I wasn't thinking that they were really, really, really going to go supernatural, but I'm
not in the mood for it. Like, I didn't want that, really.
I was just so shocked that they even made that mention, where it's like his features are changing. Like, we already know that he thinks he's Norman Bates.
Right.
Do you really have to say that he's like physically transforming into him, kinda? Now, I get that that's probably through expressions and things like that, but it's still it was a very over the top ridiculous way to say that. It was an exaggeration of itself.
Totally.
His face was starting to become Norman's. Like, if I make a face that looks like, if I do an impression of one of your expressions, that's not me transforming into you.
Well, he certainly couldn't pull off the one that I took a picture of today.
That's true. You're damn right about that. If you're Dr. Steiner and you think in like really pretentious poetic terms, maybe you would be like, he became him before my very eyes. The asylum is not just these four walls, you see. It's the world. Real irritating. I was thinking more like, late 80s, like slasher movie.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, we see the Bates Motel horror attraction where Norman Bates is a statue that's essentially on a pivoting thing, and he just like comes forward. I was expecting that by the end of this thing, the killer would be like coming forward. Like, he would have like taken Norman Bates' statue out of that spot, and they would hit the button that's supposed to call forward Norman Bates, and the killer would step forward.
Fucking rule.
Yeah. Why aren't you using your setups?
I know.
Why are you like wasting a movie set that looks exactly like the Bates Motel? You have an actor who's playing Norman Bates, and supposedly Norman Bates himself is there. How do they not come face to face?
I know.
How do you not have your killer come face to face with the new Norman Bates here? That's what I meant way back at the beginning, where I was talking about how this is an identical mirror to Psycho 2.
Yes, I totally get what you're saying.
Grandiose setup and a lot of opportunities. You have Mother. Yeah. Mother and Norman are in this book physically.
Yeah, right.
It's not the actual them, but somebody is trying to behave like them.
Yeah.
And somebody has put statues of them here.
Right.
Interaction. Some sort of anything. And they do nothing.
No.
And beyond that, in Psycho 2, they have the set, and somebody mysteriously sets it on fire. Well, who would do that? You're delaying everything. And in this, they've got the horror house, and someone stole the Mother statue. Well, who would do that? You're ruining everything.
Right.
You've got a writer who's gone to both locations and ends up writing about these events.
Does that happen in
Psycho 2, Adam Claiborne goes there to find Norman and ends up being a script doctor for the movie Crazy Lady that they're making. It's insane. It's insane, and it should be played like it's insane.
Oh, absolutely.
You should not be ignoring the parody heights that you've set up. When you do that, it makes it so fucking dull and disappointing.
Yes.
I can handle dull. Like, I don't like it, but I could be like, you know what? It's another like Psycho book, and they're trying to be serious and go for something. But no, you have a fucking haunted house in this like small California town. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
There are places that you can go to where there are like famous murders that have been committed, and they don't have fucking statues of the killer there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I was thinking about the Lizzie Borden house. I've never been there before, but that's like a bed and breakfast where they have in your room, I think it was a VHS, maybe a DVD, of like a A&E special or something about Lizzie Borden and the murders, and they like make cookies that look like axes in the morning and stuff. Yeah.
That is the same concept. But that is not as exaggerated as this is. You would think that they'd be exaggerating things like that to talk about the book culminates on that moment of Dr. Steiner talking about how everyone's obsessed with greed.
Yeah.
Or how everyone's completely greedy. Mm-hmm. And so he could be making a comment on that. So let's talk about that. What's her name?
Amy.
No, what's the killer? The 40 whacks. Then she.
Oh, Lizzie Borden.
Lizzie Borden. Mm-hmm. So there's a bed and breakfast that's Lizzie Borden themed. Mm-hmm. They don't have statues of her and shit like that, but they do play an A&E special about her.
Well, I think it's the house. I think it's the actual house. Sarah,
even better.
Sarah stayed there.
Even better.
Yeah.
You could literally write that as a story and have murders occurring in that house, and it would be really fucking cool and weird. Yeah. This feels like it's supposed to be a ludicrous cartoon of that, which is great. Let's take, okay, true crime still, you and I have a show that's coming out somewhere on the horizon that is true crime themed.
Yeah.
I will still say that I have some reservations about true crime. I think that when you get too interested in it, when there are people in Facebook groups being like, a murder was committed in my town last week. Oh my God, do you think I'm safe? It's like, all right, you're co-opting this like real horrible thing that's actually happening somewhere.
Yeah, it's ghoulish.
It is ghoulish. And having a bed and breakfast about Lizzie Borden is both awesome.
Right.
And when you think about it and you remember that people died there.
Correct.
It's ghoulish.
And it's glamorizing it. So people can be like, ooh, this is cool. You know what I mean?
100%.
And yet, cool.
Yes, I'm with you.
Partially because it's so far. The Lizzie Borden thing is like from like the 1800s or something like that. But still, anyway.
So this is preying on that, right? Like this is supposed to be a comment on that, but it is done in not with this like broad brush of like, you guys are fucking crazy. Let me show you what you're doing. You're trying to make a Disneyland of murder.
Yeah.
No, it's done with like, the human psyche is a delicate beast. Full of many quandaries.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be about like a theme park made out of the Bates house. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is absolutely beyond stupid to do that.
Yeah, and boring.
It does not work narratively. It's not intriguing. It's not fun. I would also say this. People die in this book, but so spread out far apart that they feel disconnected. One person gets killed at the beginning of this book. One person. And they immediately are like, someone's trying to be Norman. There is nothing to suggest that is true.
No.
At best, someone stole the mother statue. Okay. You know what? Norman Bates was obsessed with mother. You can talk about how like that's a weird fucking thing that like someone was killed in the make-believe version of Norman Bates' house and they took mother. You could also just straight up be like, yeah, one person was murdered and somebody stole something to probably sell it.
Yeah.
I don't think that they cared about it. Weirdly, by the end of this thing...
Yeah, because there's 30 years ago this thing happened.
Yeah, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
No one's obsessed with mother here, except for all the characters in this book.
Right.
There are characters in this book who are like alone and left to their own devices going like, yes, but Norman Bates went mad, didn't he? Yes. It was the mother of all crimes. Mother. Did I say mother? And like convincing themselves that they're like,
I'm getting obsessed. I'm getting too deep.
I must rest.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's been 30 years.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
It's completely stupid.
It's disappointing.
Yeah.
And especially because that first book is so good.
I know.
It would be great to either leave this alone, which no one ever will.
Right.
Bates Motel, the show, is now just debuting for their final season.
Yep.
And that feels to me like the culmination of everything that ever came before it and let it die when the final episode airs. But that won't be true. People will keep making these.
It's a very compelling story.
And it's especially disappointing to me that the man who invented it had no ability to understand what he had done or ever approach what he had initially made.
Yeah.
Ever.
Or just leave well enough alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so let's briefly... No, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, I do appreciate the attempt at offering a commentary of what Hollywood did with his property.
I guess.
I think that second book...
I'm like bored talking about this.
I think that second book, especially how like one of the covers is like a paper cut out of Norman Bates that you could put in a nun's habit, a paper doll thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, that really should be over the top, wacky, zany, and just like breaking the fourth wall commentary on like, yep, they made movies of my book and they kept making them and they never should have. Norman is going to kill everybody who made those movies. That should be great. And it wasn't. It's kind of sad to me in a weird way that he had no idea what he had done and he couldn't even fight back well. Like, he essentially wanted these to be like his rebuttal to Hollywood using Norman Bates.
But I don't know.
And they were so stupid that everyone was like, shut up. We're going to do whatever we want.
But I think that's you reading into it, because you're like, he kind of made that argument, but you're saying he kind of maybe he didn't do it well. So then maybe he did whatever he meant to do well.
No.
And it's just inscrutable.
I'm saying his like weakness wasn't in sending that message. His weakness was in writing anything that was interesting. He without a doubt, loud and clear, said, "I wish you had not made so many Psycho movies. Leave Norman Bates alone."
Do you mean literally, like as a person?
No, in these books. I think that it could not be clearer that he does not like that everyone kept using his character.
But then it's very counterintuitive then, because then why does he keep fucking writing books about it that
he doesn't.
suck?
He keeps writing new characters. Norman Bates only exists in the first book and part of the second.
It's still under the umbrella of Psycho, so I think that's bullshit.
Adam Claiborne
then you should
only
just write
exists
different...
in the second book and in part of the third.
No, then you should just write different books, because he's still using Norman Bates himself too. It's still called Psycho House. It's not clear enough.
That's part
I think
of the
that's
problem.
a bullshit point that it might be like, you know, the lady doth protest too much. She's like, oh, leave Psycho alone. Here's Psycho 2 and Psycho 3.
Well, but I think it could also be leave Psycho alone. It's mine.
I don't know. They're just so badly done. It's hard to get the point. It's very garbled.
They're horribly done. They're awful.
Yeah, it's awful. All right, so real quick. So tell me what you thought about Bates Motel, the show.
I had not seen it since season 1 or season 2. Very tight. I thought that it was great.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I thought that any time that Norman Bates was not on screen, I didn't want anything to do with it, though.
Same.
They cut to his brother who's living with someone, and his dad shows up, and they all feel really uncomfortable about this situation.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't give a fuck. There's a guy out there who's talking to himself. And like in one scene, he's sitting at a dinner table with mother eating like a delicious meal that she made. And then he leaves the room and we see the room he left behind and it's covered in dust and shit and it's ruined.
I know, it's so sweet.
He's living exclusively in his own head now. He believes that mother faked her own death and that when he goes out in the world, he will talk about how mother is dead. But that's because...
So it's perfect.
It's because she's faking her own death. She's alive at home. He knows that. So he's telling everybody in town she's dead because she's got some sort of plan. He just doesn't know what it is yet. I thought it was really great.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm particularly excited. One of the reasons that I think that Bates Motel, the new show, can really just kind of like put a binder clip, stack everything that was ever written about Norman Bates in a big pile.
Yeah.
I think that Bates Motel can just kind of like wrap a big string around all of it and put a bow on it and just be like, okay, all that shit that came before is bundled together and it's done. And we acknowledge that it existed, but we're doing everything better. So ignore all that other stuff.
Might work for a little while, but somebody's going to untie that bundle.
Somebody will. One of the things that I've already thought about, maybe I even mentioned it here, is that I think that now that it's been about 20 years since the Psycho Vince Vaughn version was made, they should make this...
Oh my God, you're right.
They should make the Psycho 2 with Vince Vaughn. Right? Because they both kind of... Even the movie,
awesome.
Both the movie and the book both kind of jumped to 20 years later.
Yeah.
So it's totally appropriate.
Oh, I believe it's absolutely appropriate.
Beyond appropriate. It's not inappropriate. I don't know what else to call it. I think that Bates Motel was really cool.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job at just being like, yep, Norman is mother. Norman sees mother. She is dead.
Yeah, and she is so good.
She's fantastic.
I love her.
Vera Farmiga?
Yeah, Farmiga.
Yeah, she's terrific. And one of the things that I'm currently trying to figure out is how do they possibly end it? Because the way that Psycho ends is on the twist. Norman is mother. What? The end.
Yeah.
There's no character at the end of this who we can watch go like, oh my God, he was mother the whole time, and then see credits roll and be satisfied because we've known the whole time.
Right.
So where do they go? I think that they're going to keep going. My hope, there are 10 episodes, I think. My hope is that Norman will be caught and locked up by episode 8.
Yeah, so you're tweeting about it on at Haunted Sponge.
Yeah, and then they will spend a couple of episodes on what happens to him next and perhaps
it's not
later
impossible.
in life.
Yeah. The only thing, well, it seems like that from the previews too for the season that they're spending at least some time with him being caught.
Yeah.
The only way that it could end with other people finding out and that being satisfying, but not for you or I. And I don't think they're going to do this because it does seem like they are aware of the fact that people might be jumping in at this last season as their only season.
Right.
Would be that if those other characters that we don't give a shit about, because this is the 5th season, maybe other people are really emotionally invested in them. So seeing them find out would be some sort of something.
That would be disappointing.
I know. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, it won't. It won't feel conclusive.
I think when Nestor Carbonell finds out, it's going to be a bit of a blow.
Too many characters on that show. Yeah. I really think that it should be like.
Well, I don't know if there are too many. I mean, there aren't that many. Doesn't?
No, I
like,
agree.
Yeah.
I think this is like really absolutely true. I think that anyone who's not Norman or Norma should just be considered like a 100% like side character.
Yeah.
I could easily watch 10 episodes of Norman's day-to-day life with occasional visits from those other people.
Completely.
And how does he cover up what he's doing each and every time? And how does it slowly unravel? We never leave him.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be really bold and really interesting to tell all of what happens to him, like very intimately, like we're standing right next to him and we don't go anywhere else.
Yeah, that would rule. I'd be all about that. Yeah. He's great, Freddie Highmore.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He is terrific.
And he looks so young.
He looks like a little boy. Yeah. He's 25 years old.
I know.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
And they've shown, I saw some clip of him dressed like Mother.
Yep.
And he's like, come in, hon.
Yeah.
And it was sad and scary.
Yeah.
And it is like, not that we would, I don't think that I could ever just be like, oh, it's so not threatening, or like, oh, that's funny, or something like that.
That's pretty threatening.
But the particular way that he plays it is so earnest and serious that, like, do you remember at the end of the original Psycho when you first see Norman in the dress?
Yeah.
He just kind of goes like, ah!
Yeah.
He like kind of screams and like almost falls down on his own. And you're just like, oh.
Whoa. What's going on with you? I think I can just walk out of here and I'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
You seem to have a lot going on all on your own there.
There's nothing threatening about him. But looking at Eddie Highmore, Freddie Highmore?
Freddie, yeah.
Dressed up like his mother is sad and scary.
Yeah.
You know what I will say?
Yeah.
I'm shocked to tell you this.
Okay.
And I'll keep it super brief.
That you're attracted to Freddie Highmore dresses.
He is adorable.
I am shocked to say it.
Adorable.
It's working.
I'll scream from the mountaintops. I watched Psycho 3.
Oh, yeah.
Norman Bates is like 50-something years old. At the end of the movie, they straight up have like a 10-minute scene of him dressed as Mother chasing someone.
Okay.
And it is amazing.
Really?
It is amazing.
Weird.
In particular, there was like one shot that I just thought was like incredible. There's a woman running up the stairs, running away from him. And he's just like climbing the stairs slowly, looking up at her. And his face is kind of in shadow.
God, when you just shit your pants.
100%.
Yeah.
As she's running up, she's like flailing her arms and shit. She's knocking shit all over the place.
Yeah.
They cut to the camera of him slowly climbing the stairs up at you. Like you're looking down the stairs at him. And he doesn't like turn his head at all. He's like, his eyes are completely set on the person that he's chasing. And as he's climbing the stairs, he reaches out and straightens a painting.
Ooh.
And just keeps coming.
That's good.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
And especially a 50-year-old, what's his name? Anthony Perkins. There's some times that he is acting that just feels so like inauthentic and weird. But those moments were genuinely, I thought, like chilling.
Cool.
Like, I don't think there are many movies where I've watched something and just been like surprised.
Yeah.
And so caught up in it.
Yeah.
Usually I'm at least being like, oh, it's interesting how they did that. That's kind of cool. This entire thing, like, it wasn't until later that I was like, you know what? That movie, like adjusting the painting thing was amazing.
Oh, yeah. That's genius.
Norma fixing her house.
Yeah.
As this whore is climbing the stairs.
That's sweet.
It was great.
Cool.
I would honestly, if you're somebody that likes horror movies, just period, I would recommend that movie, especially for that moment.
Yeah.
I feel like that movie's worth it just to see how far they go with Norman as Mother. They do have a kind of embarrassing shot where he speaks, and it's that fake mother voice coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It doesn't sync up right.
Yeah.
But I thought it was like gutsy of them to attempt it. And I like respected the
chutzpah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They took a big chance on it, and it didn't work, but I liked it.
Totally. That's cool.
Yeah, so I recommend that. I recommend Bates Motel, the new TV show, and I think that
Queen Riri, bad gal Riri, is going to be Marion Crane.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, which is so weird.
That'll be cool.
Yeah.
That'll be weird. The hardware shop in town.
Oh, real quick. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Is run by Madeline Loomis.
Yeah, you always say the name Madeline as Madeline.
I don't know.
I would say it is a name, but like it's not a very common one. But anyway.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No Sam Loomis?
That's what I was about to say. Could it be that, well, the thing that makes, so I'm not really sure. Could it be that Bad Gal Riri is having an affair with Madeline Loomis instead of Sam Loomis?
Ooh.
But it seemed like they were kind of setting up some sort of like thing with Madeline and Norman.
Right, yeah.
So that kind of takes someone out of it. And also, I may have misinterpreted it, but I think that Rihanna or Marion Crane was the girl who went into the room with the guy in this first episode.
Oh, I think that is true.
Yeah. So I don't think so. But maybe. I mean, maybe even with all that.
Is Rihanna a good choice for Marion Crane?
It's just such a weird choice. I mean, I don't think she's done any acting.
Is she an actress?
No, I don't know.
That's something that just seems like final season, bring in somebody so that we can get some more
but
viewers.
such a weird left field one.
I agree.
So I don't know.
Weird.
It's really, but I mean,
I would also not be
Rihanna.
shocked if like somehow Marion Crane survives or something.
Maybe.
I don't think it's going to go the same. I think that Bates Motel is kind of like Hannibal the show.
Yeah,
I think they're remixing
totally
what we
are.
expect, and so I'm totally game for them to do whatever they do.
Completely, yeah.
Although I don't know how you can't have the shower scene. If there's anything,
yeah, I mean, there'll be some sort of shower scene if it's not the shower scene. You know what I mean?
Cynical people would say that Bates Motel has been given the green light for 5 seasons just so that someday they could do the shower scene.
I have friends who watch it and really have liked it the whole time. So, but I mean, I'm sure that yes, people are just waiting for the shower scene.
Yeah, so I think they have to do a version of it. I think they have to.
I was surprised by the coming joke. I was like, oh. So he was looking through his peephole at the dude and his lady who stayed in the hotel, and he was jerking off.
Whacking it.
Whacking it. And I don't think it was me being a dork. I think it was intentional, but it wasn't supposed to get like a huge laugh. It was just kind of like, ugh. His mom called and said, like, what are you doing, Norman? And he's like, I'm coming. But it was like right after. He was like zipping up when he was singing. I was like, oh, shit.
I mean, I think it was probably intentional.
Yeah.
I was shocked that they went for it. He was watching.
He's so little boyish to me that I was, me too. I mean, I know he's an adult, but I kind of was too.
Yeah. If he's like married or anything, I bet his wife is also like, ew, you're a little boy. You shouldn't be saying things like that. But like I heard like a belt buckle jangling and I was like, they're not doing the
There was more than just the belt buckle jangling.
Oh, I know. But I mean, at first.
I know what you're saying now.
There was only the belt buckle at first. He didn't move that fast.
No, I know. Yeah.
Everything's simultaneous. But like they did that in the Psycho remake. And I thought that was like that's not Norman Bates to me for some reason. Like that doesn't make sense to me. He's repressed in the extreme, right? Like
I don't know. It kind of makes sense to me. I think even most people who are repressed still like.
At least Mother interrupted it. I feel like that's correct if you're gonna have him actually stand there and like jerk off.
I think he's just repressing even more than, you know what I mean? Like there's so much beneath the surface you can still be repressed and still jerk off.
I feel like he should just be like, oh wow. And then Mother calls. Yeah,
that would be fine with me too. It doesn't really bother me. It makes sense, but it would also be like. Yeah. It would also make sense without him doing it, to tell you the truth. But I think that probably as humans go and how things work, that probably rings more true.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know? Did I ever talk about on the show that, and this didn't happen with this thing with Norman Bates, but have you watched the show The Path at all with Hugh Dancy, and it's on Hulu, and Aaron Paul? So there's a scene, it's not spoiling anything because I won't say like when it happens. It's not like a pivotal thing, but there's a part where Hugh Dancy is jerking off and I didn't know he was jerking off. I thought he was having like a breakdown. And he's like I was watching with Ryan, and he's like with a woman. They're like talking, it's like, steamy or whatever. And I was like,
I don't care how steamy it gets. And try to control yourself.
I was like, why is she not weirded out right now? And Ryan was like, what? And I was like, he's clearly like losing it right now. Like he can't handle his shit. And he was like, and as I was saying it, I was like, wait, I thought he was like, fight your urges. Like, I thought he was like shaking, like, don't go there. And I was like, why is she?
Lose it.
I was like, why is she not weirded out?
I don't know what they were talking about. It sounds like she should be weirded out anyway.
She was like,
they're having just a nice conversation on a park bench, and he's having some sort of fit.
It was almost like in-person phone sex, kind of. She was kind of like trying to rile him up, and he was getting, but I thought he was fighting his urge.
I'm gonna get you all riled up.
I thought he didn't want to go there, and he was just like convulsing.
Weird.
It was so dumb.
Weird.
So I guess now forever, because I just found it so funny when I realized it made me really crack up. I guess anytime now in a movie where there's a slightly ambiguous whacking it scene, I'm always going to think of that.
You don't hear whacking it enough. That's a great euphemism.
It really is.
All right.
Spanking it? But you don't do that, whatever. As you don't whack it either.
No. All right, that's Psycho House.
Yeah.
Sucked.
Yeah, it sucked really bad.
I gotta admit. Sucks. I will say this, and we can maybe try to digest it for a little bit. Mm-hmm. I want to
read, and I don't know if I'm on board for. Yeah, I'm presuming. I don't want to make an ass out of you and me.
Hold your horses, Honcho.
Okay.
So, Bates Motel.
Yeah.
Has 10 episodes.
Uh-huh.
That means we're talking about at least 2.5 months from now.
Uh-huh.
There is a fourth Psycho book.
No.
Hold it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It came out 2 years ago, I think. Mm-hmm. It is written by a different man, because Robert Bloch is long dead.
Mm-hmm.
It is called Robert Bloch's Psycho Sanitarium.
Yes.
I want to read it. And I want to time it for the end of Bates Motel. Now, if we do that, mm-hmm. it means that Psycho is dead and gone mm-hmm. forever.
I mean, again, probably not, but go ahead.
Because you know that I will always want to read that book. And you will never truly escape it. So we may as well get it out of the way. It takes place between Psycho 1 and 2 with Norman Bates in the sanitarium.
Why don't you guys give us some feedback?
Fine. I believe it was Mary who brought this book to my attention. It was Mary,
and I trust Mary, but these Psycho House and Psycho 2 sucked so bad. I so specifically did not enjoy reading them.
They were miserable.
I had a bad time.
Yes.
It makes me not want to read that, even though I know it's a different dude and a different thing. You know, give me some distance from it. Okay. Right now, today, I'm saying no. Perhaps in a month I'll say yes, because I'll have forgotten how much this sucked and how much I hated it.
He described someone hitting a bell on a desk as hitting the nipple of the bell.
Okay, no.
And that was on like page 3, and I knew that I was going to hate this book.
Wait, Sanitarium or Psycho House?
Psycho House.
Oh, I want to remember that.
Yeah. It happened like almost the second I opened the book. I was like, damn it, this is gonna suck.
God. I listened to the audiobook of it, and I told Will I'd only listen to 15 minutes of it, and I hated it. I just didn't like it right away.
Truly terrible.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah. Okay. We'll revisit Sanitarium.
The time has come, Mary. Let us know. Was Psycho Sanitarium any good? Should we read it or no?
And
the lines are open.
Yes, please. Mary and also anybody else. If you want us to read Psycho Sanitarium, I can be swayed by the people. So if you really want that, I'll do it for sure.
All right.
So if you have an opinion, let it be heard.
Do your civic duty. Get out there and vote. You can do those things. If you do want to talk back, if you enjoyed this show, if you have anything that you want to say at all to us about this book, Norman Bates, Bates Motel, anything.
Yeah.
You can talk to us about all that stuff on Twitter and Instagram.
Yep, I'm at Chillin' Kristen on both.
And I'm at Will Rogers 2000. And hey, we just got a few new people who joined the Facebook Book Club Shmook Club secret group.
Yep.
So you guys should join in the fun. Mm-hmm. Do what they're doing. Get in the chat. Let's mix it up.
Yeah.
Go to Facebook, look up Book Club Shmook Club, request to join. I'll get a notification. Mm-hmm. I'll literally be in a meeting at work and go, you know what? Give me 5 seconds, guys, and approve it.
A click. And also the video version of the disgusting selfie that I posted on Patreon is in there.
Of course. Another exclusive.
Yeah.
So make sure you get in there, get in the game, get in the chat, have a good time. Mm-hmm. And we'll be back next week.
Wait. We got to tell them what we're reading. Oh, is that what you're about to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be back.
Damn it. I'm sorry. I'm really jumpy.
For some off-topic, off-book shenanigans before we get into our next book. Mm-hmm. Now, this is something that with the shit taste of Psycho House still in our mouth.
Gotta clean it out.
I do want to set the table. This is a very, very, very little known independent book that I read
I'm stoked about it.
a few years ago and enjoyed. It is Pen Pal by Dathan Auerbach. That's Auerbach. This book, Pen Pal, began as a series of short stories on Reddit in a subreddit called No Sleep, where people go to write horror stories.
Yeah.
And it was immediately an attention grabber.
Yeah.
I read it as a series of short stories and had found out that I had gotten there too late. There was a Kickstarter to turn those stories into a novel that was successful, and that's how we have this book.
Cool.
So I am planning to read both versions in the next 2 weeks so that I can compare and contrast. Because there are differences between the original short stories and the book.
Sweet.
The original short stories are online for free. You can find them. Look up Pen Pal by Dathan Auerbach. You will find them. I guarantee it somewhere. Or we will have a link for this book on talkbomb.com/shmook. You'll be able to get a link there to buy the book through us. It doesn't cost anything more or anything. It just gives us a little bit of a kickback. So check that book out. Set your expectations for just sort of like indie experimental suspense.
Yeah, I'm curious about it. You told me about it a long time ago, and I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
So
I have a tendency to exaggerate. I don't want to say that this book is going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
I think that if you go into this with the right expectations to just have a weird, interesting time, you're going to really enjoy it.
Sweet. Yeah. I'm down.
So we'll be back to talk about that.
You want to read the description?
Oh, yeah. Pen Pal began as a series of short and interconnected stories posted on an online horror forum. Before long, it was adapted into illustrations, audio recordings, and short films, and that was before it was revised and expanded into a novel. How much do you remember about your childhood? In Pen Pal, a man investigates the seemingly unrelated, bizarre, tragic, and horrific occurrences of his childhood in an attempt to fully understand them. Beginning with only fragments of his earliest years, you'll follow the narrator as he discovers that these strange and horrible events are actually part of a single terrifying story that has shaped the entirety of his life and the lives of those around him. If you've ever stayed in the woods just a little too long after dark, if you've ever had the feeling that someone or something was trying to hurt you, if you remember the first friend you ever made and how strong that bond was, then Pen Pal is a story that you won't soon forget, despite how you might try. Ooh. Come back in 2 weeks for that.
Cool.
Come back in 1 week for Kristen and I shooting the shit and just having a good time.
Yep.
As we read to get ready for the next week.
Yes. Oh.
What?
When you said as we read, I thought you were about to say Stregonona. Which was...
Our next book was almost Stregonona. For real.
We were trying to figure out what to read next, and for some reason I pulled Stregonona out of my ass, and then we started looking up different versions of Stregonona.
There are a few different versions of Stregonona, and I was already doing the calculation on how long it would take to go through all of them and how we could compare and contrast the different iterations.
We didn't think we could fill a whole show, but I really thought that's what you were about to say.
We really got very close to actually doing that.
We really did. I got really excited, but then we really thought about it.
Realized it might be insane, and that the only people who would laugh at it might just be
completely.
Us.
Yeah. Anyway,
but so that's that. So thank you guys so much for listening. We hope that you enjoyed the show.
Yep.
We hope that you're following us online. We have to check out talkbomb.com and look for more from us. But until next we meet, good talk, gang.
Meeting adjourned. That's nice.
That feels nice.
Yeah.
Hey guys, do you like Talk Bomb? We could really use your support. Please go to patreon.com/talkbomb where you can donate to us monthly. In doing so, you will get for yourself a bunch of bonus shows just as a thank you.
You can also find us on all social media accounts under the username TalkBomb. So that's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. Following us online is a great way for you to stay up to date on what we're working on for TalkBomb.
One of the best things you can do for our network is to review this show on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever platform you listen to us on. Positive reviews help us grow and help new listeners find us.
But more than anything, thank you for listening to the show. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you at TalkBomb.com.